Hi, my name is Leigh Felton, and I'm a business communications executive. Hopefully, by now, you're getting lots of great advice on how to put the right thought processes into your new business, where to focus your priorities, and how to get the sponsorship support and to lean on SMEs to get you the expert advice that you need. There's so much that you have to do to make a new business successful and even to get it off the ground. But believe it or not, there's actually very little that you have to do to fail at a new startup. Trust me, I know. Between my husband and I, we have collectively and individually started up and failed at about 11 new business ventures. Now, personally, I've started and stopped in about 8 different business ventures, including self-publishing 2 books and becoming a spokesperson after my participation on a successful TV show. And it seemed regardless of what I started or what I tried to do, I just couldn't get any of these, just awesome, terrific ideas really launched into society. But the question is why? And that's why I'm here today, to hopefully give you some insights into why new startup businesses fail. And there's probably many more reasons that businesses fail than what I'm going to list here today. But what I'm providing for you is my own personal experience and this experience of those close to me. So let's start with a couple of stats. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, about 20% of small businesses fail within their first year. Then about 50% of small businesses fail within their 5th year. So let me share with you the top 10 reasons of why I can't be an entrepreneur. Now, don't get me wrong. I've tried to start and stop so many businesses because in my heart of hearts, I am an entrepreneur and I truly enjoy creating an idea and then working through the minute details to turn that idea into something tangible, something meaningful, and ultimately something that people will want to purchase. However, for me personally, I have had and continue to be more successful in corporate America and even in public service than any of the businesses that I've tried to start. And as some of you may know, I am the former assistant director of the Business Services Division in the Department of Commerce. My time in commerce spanned from 2011 to 2013. And during that time, I had the great fortune of taking my skills from my many years of working in corporate America and combined with my enthusiasm for entrepreneur success and support economic development and growth in the state in many forms. But even with all of my experience in corporate America and public sector, I would say that this experience only led to very minute success as an entrepreneur. My latest venture has been in business consulting, and I did what I loved, and I helped many small, medium, and corporate businesses with their business strategy, operations, and communications efforts. But the reason I did well in that space is because I went back to my roots and just focused on what I like to do and what I'm good at. So why didn't some of my other businesses succeed? I tried to have a limousine business, a quality of goods resale business. I tried to transform the way schools captured yearbooks, and that was about 20 years ago. I tried to establish an all-in-one baby's first year in a box business. Now, you may laugh at some of these ideas, but in my head, they definitely were million-dollar ideas if I ever heard one. I came from an entrepreneurship from the business side, whereas my husband approached it from the technical side. As a successful solutions architect in the finance sector of corporate America, he's launched a number of analytics and business intelligence products and figured, why shouldn't he try to do this by himself if he could succeed in corporate America? He has the skills, he has the know-how to launch his product and ideas on his own. He attempted 4 times to turn what is still, operational today in some aspects, his own product idea into a business. And you would think with the expertise from the business side and the technical side that both my husband and I bring to this world of commerce and product development, that of course we could make it in business, but we didn't. Why? And although again, I don't have all the answers, let me give you 10 of the reasons we didn't make it, and food for thought for you as you go out there and actually succeed where so many of us have not. Sometimes you come across someone who gives you these beautiful golden nuggets of advice, these game changer ideas that send you in the right direction. Well, let's call this advice my top 10 grains of sand. those sometimes tiny nuisances that can cause you so much trouble. Okay, so grain of sand number one. Just because you think it's a good idea doesn't mean others will. There are many examples of great ideas that actually they really weren't. That goes for some of my own adventures that I mentioned before, but I also did a quick online research and I found a couple of examples. There was one company that tried an odor emitting computer. So an entrepreneur raised $20 million to create a USB stick that emits smell when you receive an email. Cool tech. But really, another example, another example is the chocolate sausage on a stick. It was a product for a very short period of time. Clearly, people behind these ideas were dedicated to them, but there just wasn't a market. So just because you think it's the best idea ever doesn't mean that others will. Test your ideas on friends, but more importantly, test them on experts and conduct focus groups. Hear from the audiences that you're actually trying to sell to. Come away with the very important question: is this really a good idea? It's a gap that you might fill in your own life, this product that you want to create, but there has to be a market that spans well beyond just a few people. Now, grain of sand number two. You've determined that it's a great idea, so you're going for it. You clearly know what you're going to do, and you've tested the water. This will work. That's what my husband did. There was no doubt that he understood the customers he was going to serve. There was no doubt that he had the offerings, the software, the services that would solve significant problems for these customers. But just because you have a great idea doesn't make it a business. There are many building blocks and hurdles that you're going to have to get through to actually transform an idea into a product, into a business. If you're catering your products or services to a very niche audience, then your ability to grow the business will be very limited by the target market you're able to provide for your product. If you've created a great product, but it takes a degree in quantum physics for someone to use it or to understand it, then you have a very limited audience who can actually deploy your product. Or if you have a service that solves a problem for many, but does it in a very specific way that can only help a few, then you're also limiting your market. Failure to think broadly about your business model in a way that can reach the greatest audience without being too generic can cause your product or service, even if it's a great idea, to fail if there's not enough demand. Grain of sand number three. Times change, technologies change. People prioritize and need to think through these changes. How are you going to keep up with the change? Just as an example, you take DVD rentals, and you may not know that there used to be entire stores that were wholly focused on renting DVDs, renting, in some cases, VHS. Many of those stores closed in the year 2010, and I even back then used these big stores to rent my DVDs. But now you think about things like Netflix and Redbox. They took over. Initially, they were doing mail DVDs and then, went to streaming. And I wouldn't be surprised if everyone changed their business model to streaming online only. As internet speeds improve and more people have greater access to technology, how the DVD rental business couldn't keep up with pace of their customers. If your business idea is based on a dying technology or habit or pattern, that's changing, you need to ensure that your offerings can keep up with that change and that the technology can keep up with that change. You take, for instance, the COVID-19 pandemic. The world changed dramatically. More and more businesses needed to rely more remotely for online and virtual uses. It's a challenge to keep up to ensure your offerings are passing the test of current times, but that is going to be something that you have to think through. So let's move to grain of sand number 4. Knowing how to run the business is just as important as the product or service you're trying to sell. And there's many examples here that are important to list out. For time's sake, I'm just going to name a few examples. So if you're taking investments, make sure you allocate the funds to the agreed purpose. Money earmarked by an investor to cover product development shouldn't be spent on payroll or even back pay. Yes, you have to eat, you need to have a place to live, and you need to keep the lights on. But if you're pocketing the money that was meant to get to actual, products off the ground and be your showcase for other investors to take interest, then there's something wrong with the way you're running your business. You may be struggling financially, and it's tempting to take this money out instead of building the prototype you need to move the business forward, but doing that is not a good sign. You have a business strategy, you have a budget outlined, and those are there for a reason. Try to stick with your plan, or at least proactively update the plan to move the finances around to other unexpected areas. But have a plan that you are proactively thinking through. Do this as a part of a strategy, not based on a quick fix that will be in one area that can help, counter strategies and priorities in other areas. And on this one, I'm speaking from personal experience as an investor. Additionally, you want to stay on top of all the legal stuff, filings and payments, regardless of how you set your business up, whether that's an S Corp, an LLC, a sole proprietorship. You can't forget about things like taxes. These things really matter. And in the end, you could get stuck holding a big personal tax burden if your company was not either set up correctly or you don't pay payroll taxes for your employees in time. And this can be, the case even if you're not really bringing in money, or your company, you feel is just not big enough for Uncle Sam to notice. This is one area you have to get right, and you'll likely want to get some help from professionals who can give you guidance in that space. Okay, number 5, don't purchase all of your inventory before your business gets off the ground. Definitely a grain of sand that I wish I had gotten back when I made this mistake. I still have boxes of baby supplies in my garage. It's a balancing act. You need to invest over time and with the money that you have at the right time in the right places. And in the early days of startups, you wear many hats. And at the same time, you need to balance that with the time that you spend in the business with doing what you need to do in the moment. So even if you're 150% focused on getting the product right, finding the right suppliers, or securing the first customer success, you may have to divert and focus on other aspects of the business, building your pipeline, talking to investors, hiring employees, paying taxes. Grain of sand number 6, teamwork and collaboration. They're important regardless of whether you're in a small, medium, or enterprise level business. But it is even more critical when you're doing a startup. If you're a one-man band, that's not as big of a challenge. But once you bring in other people, it's important to get organized. Ensure everybody understands the direction of the business. Just because the founders of the business, may know exactly where they're going, doesn't mean that everybody does. And it's crucial for your growth that you keep up with informing your stakeholders, your partners, employees. If everybody understands the direction and why decisions are made, there'll be greater teamwork and greater collaboration. If not, negative thoughts can start, and that can be very destructive. Grain of sand number 7 is something that I see often in the Seattle area as the heart of techies are in this space. And that is, don't undervalue sales and marketing to think that technology should be your primary focus and asset. You can be the best techie in the world with the best and innovative product, but you need to have the ability to market it. You need to have the ability to sell it. It's not necessarily the best product that sells, but the best product that can get the attention in the way that makes their product compelling, as well as that product gets in front of the right businesses and in front of the right technical decision makers. So don't underestimate the value of a qualified sales channel and business development specialist. Bringing in the right people onto your team, or in most cases due to budgets of startups, finding a well-rounded person who can position the story that needs to be told and has the ability to open the doors and get in front of the right people who know how to make sure others know that your product exists. Number 8, you need to devote your time. 80% of my businesses failed because they were a side gig, something that I would eventually do full time once the idea took off and got off the ground successfully. This is the thing though, without my focus, time, and commitment, I really didn't have the bandwidth to do my day job and give the attention to starting a successful business at the same time. So sometimes you have to take a chance. Sometimes you have to choose between something you already have and the stability that you become accustomed to with the passion and calling that you want to pursue. Grain of sand number 9 is that passion, though, alone isn't enough, but it is an essential ingredient. If you're not putting the focus on your business into something that you love, that you're passionate about, or that you have experience and expertise in, then why waste your time? Most of the people that I've spoken to who have decided to pursue entrepreneur adventures started out with their idea as merely a hobby. Unlike me, who thought a business could be a hobby, and I focus only on businesses as a side gig, and then eventually decided to give my hobby, my passion, all of the focus and attention it deserved to become a real business once it became a real business. So if you're not having fun, you might be in the wrong space. Sure, it's going to be hard work, and sometimes you're going to sweat, you're going to cry, and hopefully you'll laugh. But at the end of the day, it's really, if this is the space that you want to be in, you have to love what you do. I started a limousine business because I love people. I love socializing with people. I love talking to people. I love meeting random people. However, I didn't love driving, and I could barely find my way around town, that I've lived in most of my life. My focus, my energy was in the wrong place. And although I got to meet some really amazing people during my short time as a limousine business owner, I had to divert my passion for people into an all-around passion that my career could be built on. And then our last grain of sand. In some of our own startups, we partnered with friends and colleagues that we knew would bring quality expertise to the table. We set up the business with all of our shareholders and built the business. And after, a time, a couple of our partners wanted to take other paths and left the business. So we bought them out, or simply, they stayed as on as passive partners. So you fast forward a couple of months, a couple of years. In this case, we had $1 million investment coming our way, a very lucrative deal. We felt we were golden, except 2 of our passive partners didn't think it was the right investor. No, they were passive partners, so how could they even have an opinion, right? Well, they were still shareholders, and when they left the business, we didn't pay attention to the decision structure of the company. They still had equal voting rights, so could effectively veto the investment, and they did. We didn't get the investment, had to restructure the company, and this took time, effort, missed opportunities, and lost money. Grain of sand number 10 is to make sure that you think through how to make strategic business decisions. And if your business has more than one stakeholder, more than one shareholder, then it's important to set up a firm shareholder agreement. Now, if the owner structure changes, make sure that your agreement is also updated, and do it while you're friends, while you still, can speak to each other. And when you need to enforce the agreement, it would be too late to try to put one in place. My husband lost his first venture deal due to that fatal situation. Okay, so there you have it, my 10 grains of sand. And really, I say all of this not to discourage you or make you feel as though you can't make it in this world of entrepreneurship. My goodness, we need more people to start businesses, and people like you, people like us who have the passion to do so, just need to make sure that you've done your homework, that you not only know the things that that makes businesses successful and that makes entrepreneurs succeed, but also in many cases to understand what went wrong. You can learn a lot from someone you view as a failure, so don't take those people off your list of individuals to consult with as well. And it's okay to learn from others' mistakes. Even if you think that you're smarter than these people, whose businesses has failed, or you have more time or resources to invest, none of that will matter if you don't take the necessary precautions to put the energy in the right place and build a business from the foundation to be strong. So I hope I've shared with you things here today that will help you become a more successful business person and help you become and start that business that you were meant to start. So whatever that definition of success means to you, I wish you great luck. Stay healthy, stay safe.